Hi, I'm Johnny Ebert with the Chicago Sun-Times.
And I'm Alana Siskel with the Chicago Tribune.
And in today's edition, we are going to be reviewing 3 beloved thriller films that follow the guideline Camels.
First up is Rear Window, a film about a crippled man who watches his neighbors through his window, but later finds out darker secrets.
The second film is Sixth Sense, which is one of my personal favorites. It's about a little boy who is struggling with seeing out of the ordinary things, later seeks help from a doctor who finds out some pretty dark secrets.
And lastly, Parasite, a film about the deceitfulness of 2 families. First up is Rear Window, one of my personal favorites.
Not my favorite, but whatever floats your boat.
Well, Jonna, this film has some of the best mise-en-scène throughout the whole entire film.
True. I would agree with that. I think the setting is filmed entirely just in Mr. Jeffries' apartment, so I think it really allows us to see the movie through his eyes and
Feel claustrophobic.
Entrapped, yeah,
Yes.
I'd say so. And just, it really, that is smart. It makes us only know truly what Mr. Jeffrey knows.
Yeah. And also, the editing. I'm not supposed to go.
Do you mean the lack of editing? It was a 1950s film, so there wasn't much there.
Okay, but that's the point. That's why it made it so good, because that's what made it feel even more claustrophobic and hold tension, because the shots were held out super long, so that when we didn't know what was going to happen next, and we only could see the one apartment, we couldn't see where the man was going, and that the man with the hat was going in that one scene.
I guess you have a point there. Kind of going along with editing, sound was a really good production element. I did notice throughout the film you hear a man playing the piano, which is kind of a detail that you wouldn't really notice until you watch it again, maybe, because to an outside perspective it just seems like there's some nice piano music playing, but it's actually the neighbor who was playing it the whole time, which I thought was a really fun detail. Also, there's a lot of dramatic sound effects like screaming and glass breaking. Let's take a look at some examples of sound. Now, one of my personal favorites, Sixth Sense. It's, again, a film about a little boy who is struggling with seeing ghosts, and he seeks help from Dr. Malcolm, who actually, at the end of the movie, finds out he is dead and a ghost himself.
Yeah, the plot twist in this movie was crazy. I was not expecting the ending at all. The acting was so well portrayed that I wasn't expecting him to be a ghost at all. And plus, the acting for Haley Joel Osment was only 10 years old during this filming. The way he was able to portray his emotions like that at such a young age, it really made you feel for him. Let's take a look at one of his most famous lines, or the most famous line from this movie.
I see dead people.
You can also see the true fear in his face during that clip about finally telling his deepest, darkest secret that he hasn't told anyone, and finally being able to trust someone because he's been with Malcolm and just feels so connected to him that he finally feels okay to tell what he's been holding on to for so long.
You can't forget about Bruce Willis's acting, though. I mean, the way he was able to really express that, how would anyone take figuring out that they're a ghost? I think he really portrayed that in a very, not too over exaggerated, but he was just truly just distraught.
Yes.
He was confused, and his world was spinning, and so was the camera.
Yep.
The camera elements were very symbolically used, I'd say. Let's take a look at a scene where Dr. Malcolm's world starts to spin, and so does the camera.
I see people. They don't know they're dead.
How often do you see them?
see what they want to see.
Okay, Mikey. Come on. Give me a minute.
I thought that was very symbolic and a very good use of camera. Other great uses of camera in this film are they worked really well to create suspense. Some of the shots were very long, which would create tension. Also, some camera shots you would see Cole's reaction before you actually see what's happening, if you want to add on to that.
Yeah, for example, when he thought he sees his mom in the kitchen, but it was actually a ghost. He wasn't sure what was going on. You could see the fear in his face. It kept panning back from his face of quietly going in to the kitchen to see if it is his mom, to the back of his mom. We weren't sure what was going on. A little bit of confusion here and there, but yeah, it just, the shots were really elongated, so
kind of like Rear Window, it allowed us to see the movie through the character's eyes.
Yes.
Lastly, mise-en-scène seems to be a very popular topic yet again. The use of the color red was very strategically incorporated. A lot of times throughout the film, which is a detail most people miss until you watch it through the second time, a lot of times when Cole, almost every time I believe, Cole is having in an encounter with the ghost, you see the color red being used.
Yes.
For example, he was walking upstairs, I believe, and
we have a clip to show.
Oh, okay, so that's cool. We have a clip that we can insert here. All right, now we will be moving on to Parasite, which is our final film.
Parasite is again about the lifestyles between the rich and the poor, and how the poor kind of ruin the rich life just to get more money. Just a lot. They honestly destroy
everyone's
Kim's family.
Yeah, they destroyed their own lives. The Parks, the rich.
Yeah.
They were easily fooled by the Kims, who were being deceitful and tricking them into getting money and getting these jobs.
Even using harmful tactics to get rid of the old workers that worked for them. That's like almost killing them at this point.
Mise-en-scène was, once again, seems to be a very popular topic in today's
It's very important because
it is very important.
You get to see all the visuals to it, and it really helps.
For example, the Kim's house was underground, and the Parks house was above ground, which kind of shows that class level.
Yeah, and they were, the Parks house was very modern and huge and big, while the Kim's house, which was underground, small, cluttered, it just shows the social hierarchy, the differences between them, and it's literally and figuratively, they're above them.
Yes.
Literally and figuratively.
Adding on to that dirtiness, for example, there was a flood, and it was pouring rain at the Parks house, and it was kind of like beautiful. They had a nice house, it was stable, whereas the Kims had a not so fortunate environment to live in, and it was destroyed. Let's take a look at that.
In that scene, you can clearly see the two perspectives of both the families from the rain, and also the acting in that scene. You can clearly tell how.
Honestly, the acting in all the scenes, I think, was pretty good.
Yeah.
They had to switch emotions really quickly. For example, there is a scene where the Kim family is at the Parks house, and they're drinking and they're having fun, and they're kind of woozy, and it really just they have to change really quickly to, oh shoot, the parks are home. We need to clean up.
Yes.
We need to do all these
Their
things.
body movements go from sloppily being drunkenness and happy to quickly trying to clean up, and their body being stiff from like
Yes.
fear of like getting caught and like not being able to get this money income anymore because they need it for their food in their house. They need this money.
I feel like there were a lot of times where they had to quickly change their body language and things like
Yes.
that. The last production element that we will be speaking about is lighting, which can go with mise-en-scène, but the use of lighting to separate the two families was, again, very, very smartly and intelligently used.
Yeah.
The park, the richer family, their house seemed to be lit up more. It
Natural
felt
lighting
warm and
from all the
cozy.
windows, very natural lighting
Mhm.
coming in. It just seemed so spacious. It like really
Yes.
lit up the house.
Whereas the Kim family and their house, it was very dark and gloomy.
Since they were underground, they barely had any windows, just like a small window where barely any light came in, and it was so cluttered and it just felt so
Yes.
cramped and like you
And
just couldn't move.
when they stepped into the park's house, you could see that difference. You could see their
change in face,
light,
yes.
their face lit up, which is mise-en-scène, but lighting it away
Yes.
as well. So it was like they stepped into that other world of the lighting, and that separated the class.
Well, that's a wrap for today's episode.
Thank you so much for tuning in and examining some of our favorite thriller mystery movies.
See you next time on
Siskel and Ebert. Bye!
Bye.